Hey everyone, Tarek here. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how much Bitcoin is lost forever. So obviously, you guys know anything about Bitcoin, you know that there's a total supply of 21 million. But the problem is that a lot of Bitcoin has been lost due to several reasons, which we're going to get into near the end of this video. So be sure to stay tuned when I talk about the main ways that Bitcoin is actually lost. But the interesting thing is that I was taking a look at some information, okay, about dormant Bitcoins. You guys can check this out as well. But there are over 3 million dormant Bitcoin that haven't moved in over 10 years. So obviously a lot of that Bitcoin is from longtime hodlers, but a lot of it isn't. A lot of that Bitcoin is sitting and it will never move simply because it's been lost. So this really increases the scarcity overall of Bitcoin. And due to my research, I've kind of done some research and I've looked at several sources. Okay, River estimates that about 1.5 million Bitcoin or 7% of the total supply is lost. But I believe that number is a bit low. Okay, according to my calculations, I truly believe that maybe as much as 4 million Bitcoin is lost, which would almost be just around 20% or so of the total supply, a little bit less than 20%. And the reason is simply because Bitcoin is extremely difficult for most people to understand, and most financial advisors, estate planners, okay, a lot of people don't know how it works. And when people don't understand things, that's usually when things either get ignored or pushed to the side or forgotten altogether. So, like I said, just remember that with 21 million Bitcoin, if 3 to 4 million, I believe around 4 million are lost, that means there's really only about 17 million in total supply, which makes your Bitcoin way more valuable. So, as I promised, let's go into the four most popular ways that Bitcoin is actually lost. So, probably the most popular way is simply someone forgetting their seed phrase. Okay, so if you lose access to your private keys, you simply need your seed phrase to recover it. The seed phrase is usually like 12 to 14 words, a bunch of random words like cat, horse, penguin, etc., etc. And this usually happens when people end up writing down their seed phrase on like a piece of paper and they lose a piece of paper, or they might store their seed phrase on their computer and their computer gets stolen or lost or something like that, and they're unable to acquire their private keys. Now, the private key is the way you unlock your Bitcoin so you can move it around, kind of like you use a key to your safe. But when you don't know your private keys, your seed phrase allows you to recover them. So that's probably the number one way that people basically lose access or Bitcoin gets lost. So what I would recommend, solution to that, write down your seed phrase and put it in multiple places. Okay, you might want to store your seed phrase with a loved one, like your mother or your sister or something like that, just in case you lose access. And there are other people that recommend also putting it in metal. Okay, you can etch it in metal or something like that, so you don't have to necessarily put it online. What I would not do is I would not store your seed phrase online, because if someone gets access to your computer, someone hacks your computer, they can get your seed phrase, basically unlock your private keys and take your Bitcoin. Okay, so that's the first way. The second way is when someone passes away. Okay, a lot of people that own Bitcoin are kind of, this is a little bit of a loner movement. Okay, a lot of you guys out there are eccentric and you're different from everyone else. Everyone that has Bitcoin that I've ever met in my life is a little bit different from normal population. Let's be honest, guys. Normal people don't own Bitcoin right now. Now we're getting to that. We're getting to hyper Bitcoinization where the average Joe will own it. But right now, Bitcoin is a bit of a cult movement, and that's okay. So just realize that a lot of people that own Bitcoin might not have a lot of friends. They might not have access to loved ones. And when they pass away, the Bitcoin kind of gets lost along with them. Okay. If you don't have a good way to let someone know about your Bitcoin, or give them access to your private keys, your Bitcoin will be lost if you pass away unexpectedly. Also, there's some people that want to take their Bitcoin with them to the grave. They basically, want to take that Bitcoin out of circulation to make everyone else's Bitcoin more valuable as well. And that's one of the only assets where you can actually store your Bitcoin right up here, and it can go once you leave, pass away. So that's the second way. The third way is having improper estate planning. for transferring your private keys. So for the opposite of that, let's say you want to make sure that your private keys end up in a loved one, maybe your spouse. If you don't have a spouse, maybe your children. If you don't have children, a relative, a good friend, or it could be an organization. Okay, your alma mater, the college you went to, or it could be like a non-profit organization or something like that. Whatever. Not figuring out a way to get those private keys in the hands of the right person is another way that Bitcoin gets lost. And sometimes people do want to transfer their Bitcoin to someone else if they unexpectedly pass away, but they haven't done it. Or if someone ends up, basically losing access to their private keys, has their seed phrase, but someone else isn't able to use their seed phrase to recover a coin. So not properly transferring your private keys is the third way that most Bitcoin gets lost. And we see this happen a lot, okay? This can happen where simply you see a lot of people out here going crazy, like digging into the garbage, trying to find their private keys and stuff like that. So this is a big problem. So that's the third most popular way that Bitcoin gets lost. And the easiest way to remedy this is simply to come up with a plan. Write down a plan on transferring your private keys as a backup, and set down your plan. So if something does go wrong in a case of emergency, you have a backup plan. And the fourth way is sending Bitcoin to the wrong address on another blockchain. Now, this happens more often than you think, okay? If you have Bitcoin and you try to transfer Bitcoin to, for instance, Solana network or Ethereum or Cardano, that Bitcoin will be lost. Whenever you send Bitcoin, it must be sent to another Bitcoin address, or that Bitcoin is simply lost. And the reason why is because crypto is very sensitive, okay? It's not like the banking system where if you try to send funds to, like, say, an incorrect account number or something like that, the transfer will just return. No, when Bitcoin is sent, it's gone. So, one of the things is just double check whenever you're sending an address. I like to use test transactions, okay? If you're going to be sending a substantial amount of Bitcoin, maybe just send a tiny bit to the address just to verify that it works. And then once you verify it works, you can send the whole amount. They'll really save you. So just double check that you're sending to the right Bitcoin address. So what does this mean for Bitcoiners? Well, it means that over time, as people pass on, as people forget their seed phrases, as people don't properly come up with a way to transfer private keys, whether they pass away or they become older, maybe they become senile and things like that, end up in a nursing home and don't give people access to their money. This makes your Bitcoin more valuable. When people send Bitcoin to the wrong blockchain, this makes your Bitcoin more valuable. So we've never really seen an asset in the history of mankind, in the history of the universe, where every year your Bitcoin becomes more valuable for doing nothing. And this is also one of the reasons that Bitcoin has phenomenal returns, because every year more and more Bitcoin becomes lost and it becomes scarce. So this is why I preach to you guys. Take a serious look at Bitcoin, really study it, and learn why so many people are using it as a modern day savings account. Over time, Bitcoin become more valuable and more valuable, more valuable. They can take off a lot of financial stress from your shoulders and your family's shoulders. And we're going to talk a lot about this in the channel. There seems to be a lot of people in panic mode about cost of living expenses on the rise. Even a lot of people are committing suicide. Guys, study. If you're feeling financially stressed or anything like that, really learn about Bitcoin. It's not necessarily the savior, but it can make things a lot easier if you give it the respect it deserves. Learn about crypto, learn about saving in Bitcoin instead of saving in fiat dollars. And hopefully your life will get a lot better and you can provide better for yourself and your family. So that's all I got. Until next time, guys. You guys enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. That's all I got. Thank you for watching and take care.